Hello and welcome to the Football News Zone, the show where we take you through the biggest stories in the beautiful game right now. We've had a full round of European fixtures this midweek and there's some huge matches on in the Premier League this weekend. This week we look at Salah's contract situation and why Liverpool need to offer him a new one. We analyse the controversial disallowed goal that Aston Villa scored against Juventus in the Champions League, and we also cover the David Coote situation, which has taken another dramatic and desperate turn this week. All that and a whole lot more in today's show. Let's dive in. So I wanted to talk about Mohamed Salah. Now, I've spoken about the contract situation with him when it comes to what's happening with Liverpool, with also what's happening with Alexander-Arnold and also Virgil van Dijk. I did that a little bit ago because all three of those guys have their contracts up at the end of the season, and as I record this now, I don't think any three of them have been offered a new one, especially Mohamed Salah, because he pretty much confirmed this after the 3-2 victory yesterday against Southampton for Liverpool. And I think it's absolutely scandalous that Liverpool haven't even tried to offer him a deal. Now, you might play devil's advocate here and say, well, maybe they have offered him a deal, but he doesn't want to talk about it. But I don't think he'd outright say or lie in this case about them not offering him a deal. I think they would definitely not take that very kindly, Liverpool. I think Salah has every reason to be honest when it comes to this. I mean, I'll just read out the quote on my phone here. I just found it. This is directly from Salah himself. He said, "Well, we are almost in December and I haven't received any offers yet to stay at the club. I'm probably more out than in." Which is more damning than the fact that they haven't offered him a deal. You know, you look at Salah this season, the guy's absolutely on fire. He is showing no signs whatsoever of being a player that is getting worse, really. I mean, he's Liverpool's all-time top scorer in the Premier League era. He passed Robbie Fowler not too long ago. He's got 10 goals in 12 matches in the Premier League so far this season, almost a goal a game. You add his 6 assists in there as well, and he's got 1.3 goal contributions, goals and assists per match. He is Liverpool's star man, you could argue, at the moment, and he bailed them out yesterday against Southampton as well. Without his 2 goals at the end of the game, then he would have, Liverpool might have lost that game or probably would have drawn it, And he's only 32 years of age as well. It's not like he's ancient, He's not like someone who's like, he's not like Ronaldo being like nearly 40 years of age and still banging goals in, by the way. That's probably a bad example, but he's not the oldest footballer by any means. And I understand the need to kind of keep things fresh and keep things renewed, but why would you go giving Salah away on potentially a free transfer? If Salah doesn't sign a new deal by the 1st of January for Liverpool, which could well happen looking at this, the fact they've not even offered him one, then they can lose him on a free transfer. Clubs can put an offer in for him and they can get him on a pre-contract deal. So he could go to Saudi Arabia potentially for free. He could go to, I don't know, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, PSG, any club for free. I doubt he'd go to anywhere else in England. I don't think he'd do that to Liverpool, to be honest. But, he's an absolute legend of the Premier League era as well, And the guy's clearly still got it. He is still coming up big when Liverpool need him. And, he's going to be one of the players that they lean on really heavily in this midweek as well as they take on Real Madrid at Anfield. It's going to be a really, really tough thing, impossible thing almost to replace him. Like, who is better than Salah in that position? Who in world football is better than Salah in that position? You might say the likes of Vinicius Jr., Kylian Mbappe, you might say those guys, but, to do it as long as what Salah has done, and to say definitively those guys are better right now. Yeah, better for the future, you would say, but on overall form right now, especially in Mbappe's case, you really wouldn't take them over Salah. I wouldn't personally if I were Liverpool. You know that Salah does it in the Premier League. You know he can work well in this country. You know he loves the club. And it very much seems as though Liverpool just seem happy to almost to let him go. It's a bizarre situation. And look, Liverpool fans, cop-heights, let me know. If there's anything else you guys know about, about this, because you're a bit more on the ground than me at the end of the day. I'm just seeing this from kind of a surface level sort of thing. But it just seems like a bizarre decision. I mean, if you were to run a poll, I'm sure, of whether Liverpool should give Salah a new contract, I'm sure like 95% of people would say yes, at least. So, let us know your thoughts about it in the comments below, guys. Should Liverpool re-sign Salah? Should they extend his deal? And if so, by how much? For me, you got to give him at least a 2-year deal to try and avoid this situation happening again so soon. But let us know your thoughts in the comments below. So when I last spoke about David Coote a few weeks ago, when the very short video of him allegedly taking, well, definitely taking a white powder, allegedly being drugs, of course, when that came out, I said after that video, well, towards the end of the video, I should say, that, you know, this situation is not done. There is probably more to it. Just going off of what the news outlet that I will not name, the one that has been fed this information, what they said in their previous article, which unfortunately I had to read to get the information for, because it was very much a breaking news story at the time, they sounded like they had more on him. They sounded like this person, this pal, as they call him. I guarantee they're not friends now, Coote and whoever this friend is. You know, they sounded like they had more information on him. They sounded like they had more evidence, specifically messages. WhatsApp messages, I think, was the platform they were using. And I said this is going to come out most likely at some point. Whenever the news gets a bit slow, they're going to just put this news out. They're going to put this information out. And unfortunately, that's proven to be the case, because last night, I would have done a video last night, but I'll be honest with you guys, I was really, really tired. I was down in Sheffield to watch my team, Sheffield United, play against Oxford. And when I was driving back up to Huddersfield, I heard on the radio that there was some news regarding David Coote, that there's more stuff that's been put out there now. So I'm just going to go over what this stuff is, what has been alleged, and where we go from here. Because I said that, honestly, after the previous video, that he's going to go. I mean, I even said after the first video, in fairness, this guy's going to go. There's no way he can stay on as a referee after this. And if there was any sliver of doubt about whether he could survive this in terms of his career, in terms of being a referee, it's gone now. This is probably in relation to his job, not just a personal thing. Like the first two things you can kind of, to an extent, you can chalk up to being a bit of an idiot, you know. This, though, has real malice to it in terms of being a referee, in terms of the harm that he is doing potentially to football. I know that might sound dramatic, but let me just explain what's happened here. So basically, there have been some messages that have been shared with this British newspaper. Now, we haven't seen these messages. I have gone through the article, as horrible as it is to do that. I've done that because, you know, I've got a job to do to report to you guys at the end of the day. And unfortunately, that is the source where this information has come from. Their source, though, has sent over some messages. Now, we don't see these messages, but we do see them in terms of what was actually said. We don't physically see screenshots, but we do see information about what was actually said. And basically, the long and short of it was that back in 2019, I think it was a championship game between West Bromwich Albion and Leeds United, basically Coote advised, well, the person, the pal, as it was, who's been called here, basically the exchange just goes as follows. So Coote tells him, yeah, really good, I've got a game against Leeds tomorrow. The friend then says, ooh, big game. We're still on for what we discussed, in brackets Alioski. Maybe I could join you if so. Coote then replies, haha, don't know what you mean. The friend then says, haha, well, I'm off back to in the morning, so don't let me down. Coote answered, haha, we'll see. Then, during the game, and this is referring to a potential yellow card for Alioski, Alioski then gets booked in the game. Now, I haven't looked at the game itself, but apparently Alioski's foul was a yellow card. So this isn't a case of just the yellow card coming out of nowhere. Apparently he did deserve a yellow card. There's no doubt about that. But in terms of bringing the game into disrepute, this is pretty bad, because it gets even worse. Coote then later messages back saying, I hope you did as we discussed, as in putting a bet on Alioski to get a yellow card during the game. Now, apparently, Coote has not financially gained from this. He has also said that he, denies any wrongdoing here. He does admit, though, that this conversation did take place, but he chalks it up to, quote-unquote, banter, which is the Richard Keys and Andy Gray defence, if you remember that, for a very different matter, of course, but I don't think that's any kind of defence, because you can't go saying, well, you know what, I'm refereeing this game, this guy's going to get a yellow card, I guarantee it, you better put a fiver on that, mate. That is... But, honestly, it's match fixing effectively at that point. And again, you might say, oh, well, that was a yellow card. He's not changed the outcome of the game there. And I suppose that's true, but he was very much hinting that he was going to give him a yellow card. And he did give him a yellow card. So you're kind of questioning his integrity there, really, as a referee. It's really, really bad. For me, honestly, in the terms of his career, this is probably the worst one out of the three. You know, I mean, there's like he says, in fairness, I think he says later on, you know, whatever the issues were in my personal life, I never let this affect me as a referee. But I don't know, this seems like it's affecting him as a referee. You know, more than hinting. It's one thing to have banter, like in the build to the game. Like, maybe, I don't know Alioski very well as a player. Maybe he got yellow carded a lot. Maybe that was a common thing for him. I don't know. But to then say after that, I hope we did what we discussed. I don't see how he can kind of weasel his way out of this. And then there's another quote here as well. Like, the person who he spoke to about this coup, the friend, as it were, the pal in this article, he did say that he didn't back Alioski for a yellow card, but somebody else did. A friend of his actually did, and presumably, obviously, you know, benefited from that because he did. But then Coote goes back to him and says, haha, he will have to share it with you then. Insider information. We've seen, you know, remember was it Kieran Trippier? Kieran Trippier apparently shared the fact that he was going to Atletico Madrid. Then a friend or his brother or something put a bet on that, and that got classed as insider information. So he actually got banned, to Trippier, for a little bit from football. Just a couple of games, I think it was. But this is maybe even worse because, again, sorry, I'm just going through these quotes here. So there's another one here from this person. He says, my first contact with David Coote was online. When I got talking to him a bit more, I found out about his job as a football referee. I jokingly told him to give Alioski a yellow card in the Leeds game the following day against West Brom, so I could back this in the bookies. He sarcastically replied, haha, we will see. Just 18 minutes into the game and the next day, Alioski was booked. It was Leeds' only yellow card in the match. He messaged me a while after the game and said, I hope you're backed as discussed. Oh, man. This is so bad. Honestly, like I said, this is no joy for me bringing you this. Like, the guy clearly has a problem personally. Like, if he's doing drugs while he's on duty effectively over in Europe, over in Germany, wherever it was, for Euro 2024, you know, this is a guy that has some serious problems. But this, for me, like I said, is the worst, because now you're really bringing not only his integrity into question when it comes to that, you're bringing all the referees down with you effectively. People are going to be questioning everything. People have always been saying the Premier League is corrupt, VAR is corrupt, the PGMOL is corrupt. It's a fix. It is not legitimate what you're seeing out there on the pitch. People have always said that. There's always been sections of football fans that have said that for years and years and years, right? That is not new. But now, those people have a bit more justification for what they're saying. I'm not saying what they're saying is right, but what I am saying is they definitely have more of a justification for it. Like I said, the PGML, they're investigating. This is a matter of urgency, basically. I don't know what they're going to do other than just sack him. I do not know what they can do other than fire him. I can't see how he can survive this. You know, you've kind of done a triple threat here. You've done, you know, an expletive rant against Liverpool, against Jurgen Klopp, which is obviously very unprofessional. You've got the fact that he was doing illegal drugs during a UEFA tournament, and now you've got the fact that potentially he is match fixing for betting. And this is the one that we know about. Could there be more? Could there be more that we don't know, that people have not wanted to talk about? People who are actually his friends, that actually want to look out for him, that are keeping this stuff under wraps. And our other referees do this as well. It's all going to come out in the wash, I'm sure. But this is, I know, again, it sounds dramatic, but this is the biggest scandal in the history of refereeing, as far as I can find. You know, this could be the real sign of, especially in England. I think, definitely in England, the biggest refereeing scandal in England ever, probably. I mean, you can maybe count like the likes of Calciopoli in Italy and stuff like that as being worse. That was more of a club thing, though. But yeah, I mean, it's terrible. And like I said, I don't know how he can survive it. But yeah, guys, what do you think? What do you think is going to happen to David Coote? What is your reaction to these messages? Because they are, in my opinion, these are extremely damning. They really, really are. And for any updates about this case, we will obviously bring you here on thefootballchronicle.com. All right, so it looks as though the hunt for Leicester City's new manager after sacking Steve Cooper is over. It seems as though Ruud van Nistelrooy is set to be the next manager of the Foxes. A very interesting appointment, an appointment that I'm surprised by in truth, but I think it's a very ambitious appointment, and it could well be a very good one for the long-term health of Leicester City in the Premier League, and I'll explain why in this video. Now, as I record this, on his Wikipedia page, it is saying that he has been confirmed as the Leicester City boss. However, on a lot of news sites such as BBC Sports and Sky Sports, this is yet to be confirmed, but he is very strongly rumoured to be set to take over before the weekend's game. I think they're playing against Brentford, so he will be in the dugout, if this is to be believed, at the weekend on the Premier League match for Leicester. Now, I think it's a very interesting appointment. I think it's quite funny as well, in a sense, how Leicester end up hiring Van Nistelrooy, because Van Nistelrooy, in his very short time as manager of Manchester United, as the interim boss after Erik ten Hag was sacked, they actually played against Manchester United on 2 occasions and lost them both, knocking them out of the League Cup and also losing at Old Trafford in the Premier League too. So they've seen firsthand that this guy can play some pretty good football with his sides at the end of the day, and he is, you know, in his short time as a manager, he has been successful. He did win the Dutch Cup as manager of PSV Eindhoven over in Holland, his native Netherlands. Of course, as a player, he was an absolute legend of the game, winning trophies with Manchester United, with the likes of Real Madrid, with the likes of PSV as a player as well. And so he's someone who's very successful, knows what it is to go to the biggest clubs in the world and perform as a striker with all that pressure on you. So he's used to the pressure. He has a little bit of experience in the Premier League as well. I said in my video going over who were the favourites to get the Leicester manager job that I thought that David Moyes would be a very good appointment. Apparently, Leicester were not too keen on that. They were not wanting to go for Moyes for whatever reason, whether it's wages, whether it's the style of football, because the style of football was part of the reason why Steve Cooper was sacked. They were not a fan of that. Van Nistelrooy will play better football than what Steve Cooper did, not only as a player but as a manager too. You know, being from the Netherlands, being around those top teams. I mean, Man United were pretty good for the most part. There's only really the Chelsea match where I thought they were a bit dull to watch, to be honest. But aside from that, they've played good football under Ruud, you know. And I mean, at the end of the day, you might say, well, he's going to be more defensive against Chelsea, because Chelsea having an excellent season under Maresca, so they're not to be underestimated. So that might actually be a bit of a positive, the fact that he can be a bit pragmatic, because there's going to be a lot of games where Leicester go into them, particularly away from home, where they're expected to lose, and they're going to need to be defensive, and they're going to need to be tough to beat, which for the most part, you know, they were defensive again under Cooper, but they were not particularly hard to beat either. So he's got a big job on for this. You know, Leicester are down near the bottom of the Premier League. They are out of the relegation zone, but only by a point or two. So it's going to be a long season. It's going to be tough. He's never had to manage, and this was my big negative when it came to Nistelrooy. You know, he's never had to manage a club that is fighting against relegation. He's never had to even play for a club, I don't believe, fighting against relegation. I don't think that's ever had to do. I mean, certainly PSV, Man United, Real Madrid, Hamburg, and Malaga at the end of his career. I mean, the last time he might have been fighting against relegation, it might have been with Heerenveen or Den Bosch over in the Netherlands, but you're talking 25, 26 years ago. So that is something that will be a bit of a negative for him. But I think if you're thinking about an appointment that's going to produce good football, get the fans on side, I think that's an excellent appointment. And there is also an argument to say that Leicester City's players have been underperforming in the Premier League because they've not been allowed to express themselves, to be as free on the pitch. You know, there is an argument to say that Leicester's squad is a comfortable mid-table Premier League squad. I mean, people were saying that even last season when they were in the Championship before they got promoted. They had a good Premier League side. Certainly, I think they had a better side than the 3 sides that got promoted and eventually got relegated from the Premier League last season: Sheffield United, Luton Town and Burnley. So I think it's very positive. Leicester fans, let us know what you think. Are you a fan of Ruud? If you're Ruud van Nistelrooy, you think he's gonna really turn the fortunes of the club round? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Alright, so it's fair to say we had a very controversial game between Aston Villa and Juventus in the UEFA Champions League last night. This game was drawn 0-0, but it possibly should have gone to Aston Villa. The victory coming very late on if the goal was given for Aston Villa, but it was not. So I'm going to go into why it was disallowed. I'm going to go into my thoughts about whether it should have been disallowed and just kind of go over the footage of what happened here. So unfortunately, guys, because of copyright and all that stuff, I can't actually show you the game. I'm sure you already realized that by now, but I do have it on my screen here. So I'm going to be the VAR for this and just basically watch the last stages of this match and just give my thoughts on what happened. So like I said, this is 0-0. We're in the 94th minute. We're past the 3 added on minutes at the end of the game. We're effectively last chance saloon for Aston Villa to be able to win this. I say that because Villa have won a free kick just on the other side of the halfway line in Juventus's half. The ball is floated into the area from there. Now the goalkeeper for Juventus does go up. He does try and get a catch on the ball to just end the game pretty much at that point, but he misjudges it. He lets go of the ball, he drops it, the ball falls to the feet of Morgan Rogers. Morgan Rogers turns, finishes, the crowd celebrates wildly, but Rogers doesn't really celebrate. He runs away, but he doesn't really go for it because he's not sure what's going on here. It sounds like the referee is going to disallow this goal because the Juventus players are appealing no end to the referee to disallow the goal. They're saying their goalkeeper's injured. The goalkeeper is down on the floor like a sack of taters. He's gone down like he's been shot. Now, if we look at the replay here, because they're just going to show the actual replay of the event, there's no problem in terms of offside. That's not the issue here. The goalkeeper goes up, like I said, he drops it. Rogers finishes the ball from there, but there's a really good angle. Here we go. This is the one here. There is contact between the goalkeeper and Diego Carlos, one of the outfield players for Aston Villa. Now, normally, when you disallow a goal for contact on the goalkeeper, it's when the goalkeeper actually has full control of the ball. So in this instance, for example, if the Juventus goalkeeper grabbed the ball, had it with 2 hands, and then Carlos goes into the back or the side or whatever part of the goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper drops the ball as a result, it's therefore a foul. It's a bit similar to when 2 outfield players are out on the pitch and you, instead of making contact with the ball to try and get it from a tackle, you actually make contact with the player instead. It's a foul. It's a free kick. Same with goalkeepers basically, but instead of being with the feet, it's with the hands because goalkeepers use their hands to catch. Now, that's not what happens here though. That's not what happens here. For me, the goalkeeper's just completely misjudged where the ball's going to be, whether it's the pace of it, whether it's the actual position of it. He's basically gone flying out with his jump as much, because they're in mid-air when they make contact. He's gone flying out as much as he can to try and grab the ball. And Rogers is in the way of that. Rogers is in the way of that. Carlos is in the way of that. Now, the thing is with this is that, if anything, for me, it's a foul on the outfield player for Villa. I mean, I'm not being funny. If anything, it is. I don't think it is. I think they should just play on in this instance. I mean, referees and football's always talking about, oh, we give the advantage to the attacking team. We always give the advantage to the attacking team. We want exciting football. We want, we want it to be exciting for the crowd. Do you really? Is that really what you want? Because that's not what is being shown here. This is an absolute 6 and 1/2 a dozen the other. This is a true 50-50 for me. Both players are going for the ball. You look at their eyes, which you can do with a replay, like the VAR would have done, of course. They're both trying to go for the ball, and the goalkeeper gets it, but only just. You know, there's no malice in here. There's no foul in here for me. There really isn't. And I feel like they've just, I mean, one caveat I will say with this is that the referees in Europe are different. They do have different regulations that govern them and different rules. The PGMOL, they set the rules in England, I believe, or maybe the FA. I don't know how it all works. It's complicated, but we've got different rules in England than what they have in UEFA, basically. And they might have different standards for what is disallowing a goal, but for me, that is not a disallowed goal. That should not be a disallowed goal. That goal should absolutely be allowed to stand. And I think it's a real shame for Aston Villa, because that's another European giant that they should have really beaten at home. They beat Bayern Munich, of course, earlier on in the season at Villa Park as well. So it's a real shame for me. Very disappointing. Juventus very much getting away with one there. They went to Villa Park with a plan to park the bus, and they successfully did so in the end. But there we go, guys. So for me, that goal absolutely should have stood. I want to hear your thoughts as well, Villa fans, Juventus fans, get in the comments. So something that happened over the weekend that I'm yet to cover is the fact that Marta, the Brazilian legend of the female game, has won her first national National Women's Soccer League Championship, NWSL, to me and you, over in the United States. A real landmark result for the Orlando Pride as they beat the Washington Spirit 1-0 on Saturday. So let's just dive into how momentous of an achievement this is, how long it's been as well. She's been in the US Women's League for a very long time now, has Marta. So let's have a look at what happened here. So full article over on the BBC Sport website. Shout out to Ben Collins for obviously covering this. Brazil legend Marta celebrated the first NWSL championship of her glittering career after the Orlando Pride beat the Washington Spirit 1-0 on Saturday. Zambia striker Barbara Banda scored in the 37th minute in Kansas City to give the Orlando the first WS title of their existence, really, the franchise history. The Pride were also indebted to Anna Morehouse as the English goalkeeper, who hails from Oldham, made a fine second half save to ensure Orlando became champions in the Englishman Seb Hines' second full season as coach. The Pride began the 2024 season with a 23-match unbeaten run and set the league record for points with 60 from 26 games. Banda, 24 years of age, ended her first season in Orlando with 13 goals in the regular season and 4 in the playoffs, an NWSL postseason record. Well done to her. Marta, 38. She's only 38. I thought she was like 42. She's been around forever. She scored 9 in the regular season, then 2 in the playoffs, and Saturday's win marks a triumphant end to her 8th season in Orlando and 24th year of her professional career. She's been playing since she was 14 as a professional. Wow. That's just incredible in itself. I didn't expect to ever be in this moment right here, but I believe so much that God knows exactly when the time is right for things to happen. The 6-time FIFA Best Award winner told CBS. This means so much. Playing with these players is something really special that I never had at any other club, so I'm happy. So yeah, sounds like she's not really going to go anywhere. She might be sticking around. I mean, she's still banging the goals in fairness to her. So, long may it continue for her at the end of the day. I wish them all the best. It's incredible really that they won both the regular season and also the playoffs as well. So for those that don't know, in American sports as well as soccer in this case as well, football, you do get playoff systems in both the MLS and the NWSL as well. And yeah, Orlando won both. They won the regular season and also the playoffs as well. So good for them. Good for them. I believe it's one league as well. It's not like an East and West conference, unlike in the MLS as well. So it is like literally, if you're top of that league, you're top of the lot. So yeah, fair play to him. It's been a long time coming. She obviously enjoys playing for Orlando Pride. It's their first ever league title over in the States. So yeah, just a relatively quick one just to go over that, guys. But is Marta the GOAT? Is she the greatest of all time in the female game? I have to ask it since I'm here. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, keep it subscribed to thefootballchronicle.com for much more content on the world of football, on the world of soccer, just like this.